does not allow local police to have radar or LiDAR is the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The only one.
Do we have any police cars? We're not using.
We have a few, but now that we're using municipal, they're now valuable.
There's got a couple of those around in this stuff.
Well, sometimes,
They're gonna use it. This is their backyard now. I mean, our township became their backyards, and they're using these roads
So we
like.
gotta take our backyard back now.
I agree. I
Enough's
agree.
enough.
I think enough is enough.
We need to get the right answers and
We need the solicitor, and we need Frank to put a foot in somebody's butt and get some answers here and get them moving. I'm sorry, I mean, I'm being, I'm being frank, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, so.
It could be Frank's start.
Yeah, he's, look at how much he's aged, just as this,
I was a young, clean-shaven man back when we started this.
Nah, he's looking older than I am, you know?
I didn't see Phil throw you in the bus.
It's coming, hang out.
Next on the, I'm sorry, next on the list,
Nicole Morber?
No.
Nicole?
I'm speaking.
Okay.
Okay.
Kelly?
Zaradnik, 1533 Foxfield Drive, Whitehall. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I really appreciate your helping us, all of you. And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank you. This is probably the first time since I've come to one of these meetings that you really have shown a little gung-ho for us. So, I'm just saying.
you know what, Kelly? That's despite a full moon today.
We're on the way.
Where the township staff was in DEFCON 3.
Okay.
All right, and dealing with preparing for the midnight
I know.
flakes.
I know.
coming
I
out.
don't give credit where
Plus a couple
credit is due.
flurries.
Today is the first time I really
Thank
said
you,
give us
Kelly.
a little yay, and I appreciate that. I do have this. It is, it's just from DEP. It's just the closing of the investigation. That's all that basically is. Basically, I heard some hubbub the last time about Mr. Hobel, and I guess there was a meeting and was there some kind of fines or anything? What happened from that extent? Do you know what I'm talking about?
There was a meeting many months ago,
Okay,
where he was cited for violations and things like
okay,
that.
then maybe that's
I
where,
think those are
okay,
corrected, but he was cited for violations.
okay,
I
good,
don't know anything about a fine,
okay,
but I did read in those reports that there was
okay,
a meeting with him to discuss the violations.
okay, all right, very good, that's that. And we have, Mr. Funzo, we have been asking you for months to go through records and that. I don't know where you're at with all this, but if you really could start, stepping this up for us. I mean, this is getting a little old now. I didn't bring it with me because it was disgusting, but my husband just took out our air filter. It was literally in there for probably one more month than it should have been, probably about 3 months. It was as black as this stand. So this is just getting really crazy and ridiculous.
Is anybody up early Saturday?
No, I don't.
How early are we talking about Saturday?
Yeah.
8 o'clock, 9
Oh,
o'clock?
yeah, absolutely.
Did you happen to look at that little 2 stacks down in Lower Cementon? You should have.
Well, according to DP, that wasn't our issue, so.
Which
It
stack,
was- it
I'm
wasn't
sorry,
steam.
which stacks we talking about?
The concrete and the metal one.
The one that's located right at the very bottom of our hill?
We do anything for the blizzard.
Okay, well, we'll look into
And
that.
then again, the weekend again.
Last and
Okay.
final question, Mr. Clark, what we're concerned about is, and I know he said that it's coming up that this is soon by hopefully maybe next summer, this is gonna be filled, this quarry. What's going on there next? What are the plans for that property that you may be aware
I'm not
of?
aware of any plans for that property other than there's gonna ramp up to the, I guess, the top of the berm on the north end, and that's it. That's
Okay,
all the further they can go.
okay.
That's,
I mean, do you
That's
think
all I
there's
know.
possibly building plans coming in there and apartments and
I
everything else?
doubt it, because you can't really build in that fill. I mean, that's not compacted, it's just pushed
They
in.
said we couldn't breathe it in either, and here we are, so,
Well,
he
yeah.
said, she said.
I'm
But
not
we're
aware-
just concerned with that, I mean,
Sure.
we have a nice neighborhood, we don't,
I'm not sure, I'm not aware of any plans whatsoever.
Okay,
Because he can, he's an elected official, we
Okay.
have to do that.
alright, thank you.
Okay, is this my copy?
Yes, that's for you.
All right,
So
Okay.
DP closed that whole investigation now.
According to this report, it says end at the end of it. I'll have to go into it further, but it's the last line said this includes, this inspection has no air quality violations are noted. So I will follow up with the inspector, see if he has anything else he can add to it, and then we'll give you your report on that.
That's all for courtesy of the president.
Okay, bill number 92017, an ordinance amending the Whitehall Township Police Pension Plan to revise section 6.2, mandatory employee contributions for Whitehall Township Police Pension Fund. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye, and President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 10-2017, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of proposal for providing investment consulting services to the Whitehall Township Police Pension Fund in accordance with section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye, Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 11-2017, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for performance of work to produce a pollution reduction program for the Public Works Bureau of the Township of Whitehall, RFP 17-02, in accordance with section 3.20 of the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorizations of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any questions from the board? From the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
and President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 2968, a resolution approving the amount of interest returned to be credited to police pension fund member contributions for fiscal year 2016. Do I have a
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye, Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
and President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 2969, a resolution approving the cost of living adjustment for eligible recipients of the Police Pension Fund. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Swaniger, aye, Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 2970, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Whitehall to establish the police pension contribution rate for members of the fund. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Swanager? Aye. Commissioner Dutt?
Yes.
And President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 2971, a resolution conditionally approving the major subdivision land development plan of Lehigh Valley Cars located at 3848 Lehigh Street, Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, index number 1879-15. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Swanager? Aye. Commissioner Dutt?
Yes.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
And President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, on to our public reports. Commissioner Snyder, start with you.
No, I don't have anything.
Mr. G.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks. About 2 weeks ago, there was a fire called in on Shides Road at about 1:15 in the morning. And I was amazed. The fire trucks were out on the street with downed wires and a burning telephone pole. They were there in 15 minutes. At 1:30 in the morning, 2 trucks showed up within 15 minutes. That's incredible. At that hour of the morning with a volunteer fire department, that out of bed, driving the fire department, jumping a truck and down. You just can't say thank you enough to these people in our fire departments all across the township for that kind of response. I thought it was phenomenal. That's all I have.
Commissioner S.
You call me.
Commissioner G. Commissioner S.
Sounded like something else, okay. I just pay attention to tomorrow's weather. I mean, you shouldn't be out there if you don't have to be out there, and we'll probably have a state of emergency because this looks like...
Already did.
Oh, well, see, I'm so far behind. but-
No, only the governor can declare a state of emergency. A mayor can declare a snow emergency.
Okay, well...
And that has been done. We are actually 2 hours, almost 2 hours into the snow emergency. Started at 6 p.m.
Well, I did know that. So, but I just so people just do the right thing and stay off the road. So.
Once you get a telephone that's not at the end of your driveway that you have to walk to, okay. Commissioner Marks.
Yeah, I've been approached by a couple citizens that had concerns over yesterday's morning call article about water or sewer rates and how that's going to affect Copley Whitehall Sewer Authority. I just want to assure everyone that the staff and the board across the street, I'm the liaison to the board, I'm also a board member. We're very diligent and we took this administrative order very seriously. And we're doing everything humanly possible to keep costs down and to comply with the administrative order. So our percentage or our cost will not be excessive. So we're ahead of the 8 ball, we believe, and we're doing everything that we possibly can. We took, like I said, we took it seriously. And I can assure the people of Copley and Whitehall that, you know, I'm not going to say never, but you aren't going to see substantial increases like other municipalities are, because we've been so diligent and we took this seriously from the get-go. I think it's going to be very beneficial to our 2 communities.
Thank you for that report, Joe.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Dutt, you've already, do you have anything else?
Just 2 quick things. Number one, I was speaking with a resident yesterday, or the day before, when I was getting my hair cut, and she asked if we can have more patrols over on Ringer Road by the police, because she says there's more juvenile activity of doing things that they're not supposed to be over on that side of town. So if we can do that, that would be great.
In the farmhouse?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. And then the second thing is, everybody please be careful if you have to go out, because it seems like it's going to be really bad. So take your time and don't go out if you don't have to. Thank you.
Just like Tom and Jeff said, I think it's important that our residents know, especially tomorrow, just stay out of the way. Stay home. We have yet to invent a piece of equipment that sucks the snow up and makes it disappear. It's got to be pushed to one side of the road or the other. And when you get this much snow, it's going to be a problem. Please have the patience, let our guys get out and do their job, and stay out of their way. Thank you.
Yeah, I think everybody has bread, milk, and eggs by now too, so they should be ready. Lee, I, at our environmental council meeting this week,
I'm almost out of here.
yes, it was brought up that at the intersection, when you come out of Reliance Street, out onto Route 329, when you're making the turn to go east, there is very high shrubbery at that intersection, and people have been complaining that they feel they almost have to get out onto 329 before they can, and then it would be too late the way the traffic is coming down there. So if you would check the shrubbery, I guess is what they're, shrubbery, yes. That's correct from Mark, yes. Okay.
That's a quick plug for our theater. This year is doing Spam-A-Lot.
Yes, that's right.
Spam-A-Lot, yes, which should be an excellent, if you've seen that show, it is funny. Mayor, I have a question for you too, that this was given to me with the building of the new bridge, that PennDOT's going to be needing a staging area, and they pay handsomely for that. Is there any way Whitehall Township is going to look into being a staging area?
What new bridge? 22?
No, the Copley Bridge.
Copley's the staging area.
Well, I heard that.
Well, to the back row, guess where the Copley Bridge is probably going? Copley aggregates.
You really?
Clean, regulated fill. I put money on it. What do you think, Frank? Yeah, absolutely.
Now, which route's that gonna go through?
Oh, I'm sure it's gonna go up Copley Road.
And I'd also like to add a comment to the residents, please, as it's already been said, give our maintenance people, I think for every storm we've had, we're so proud of what our maintenance people do. So please respect them. What they're going to be doing for the next 24 hours so let them do their work and stay safe. Mr. Mayor, your report now.
Okay, in that regard, snow emergency was declared beginning at 6 p.m. this evening, and we also, to communicate with the residents, it was put on Facebook, the Township Facebook account, and at noon we had 4,000 hits, 4,000 views. So it shows you the power of social media. And in addition, Tuesday's refuse, recycling, and yard waste pickups in the Tuesday zone are delayed by a day, and they may be delayed by 2 days. And that decision will be made late tomorrow when we find out how much we're actually getting of accumulation. Board President Armstrong mentioned about milk and eggs. I'm not concerned about milk and eggs. I'm concerned that people have batteries, flashlights, prescriptions. That was also put on Facebook for the storm. And gasoline for obviously their snow blowers, but also their generators. Many residents have bought generators after what we experienced several years ago. But please remember, do not use a generator even in the garage. all generators must be outside. We don't want to risk losing any resident due to a generator. Earlier, the comment was made that we don't get anything from the state, but we actually do. Our liquid fuels fund this year is at the highest level due to the gas tax and the motor vehicle registration being raised. So this year, the Township of Whitehall will get $800,712 to be used for roads or streetlights from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Normally, that rate had been about $550,000, went up to $650,000, but that can help with reconstruction of a lot of streets and alleys in the township. In addition, I want to recognize Deputy Mayor Myers that due to his hard work and in watching literally the pennies of this township, we are in a much better position today than we were when the economic downturn hit America and also Whitehall. So I'm happy to report that Moody's has upgraded our bond rating from AA3 to AA2. And that will help with the next piece of information, the plan to build a new police station / emergency services building. The preferred location is next door to us in the area behind the Arlington Cemetery that is obviously vacant, that doesn't have any burial plots that we know of, but it is a 15-acre parcel, and it is currently owned by Stonemore Corporation, which trades on the New York Stock Exchange, and we are now negotiating with Stonemore for the purchase of those 15 acres for the construction of the new police station emergency services building. Once we have the land under contract, then we will be moving to the next phase, which would be the acceptance of an architectural firm and also the construction manager. Right now, we are working with KCBA architectural firm. KCBA, for those of you who are familiar with the new Northampton Middle School, they were the architect who built designed the new Northampton Middle School. They have a lot of experience with public buildings, school buildings, and we are very comfortable with their plans, their preliminary plans so far. Basically stolen from Limerick Township down in Montgomery Township. In addition, the construction manager, we've met with, and I always screw this up, also the construction manager for the Northampton Middle School, Dewey, thank you, Frank, Dewey. And actually there was an insert in one of the newspapers, I think the Morning Call, and they did a wonderful write-up about Dewey and their work, and they have a strong reputation for coming in and on budget with buildings as well. So I ask that, as the commissioners have said, patience. We've gone through this last year, and it looks like perhaps this is going to be an annual event with blizzard conditions, but to use caution and also to listen to the information coming out on Facebook, on the Township website, and also I neglected to mention Nixle. The early warning system was activated, and those residents that signed up for Nixle should have received a text message. Those of you in the room that did not, please let me know so that we can make sure Nixle is aware if we have any issues going on. As you can imagine, every municipality on the East Coast in the Mid-Atlantic region that uses Nixle is sending out alerts in addition to us. So I want to thank everyone and enjoy the snowfall tomorrow, and remember those that are working in it to make you safe.
And don't fight with them. Don't throw things at them and curse at them.
Lee,
Read
you
them
have something?
respectfully.
Just want to give the board, and I think the money is that we have, thanks to Keystone Engineering.
I will interpret because Lee's not at the microphone.
Yes, you need to speak into the microphone.
Thanks to,
My kids tell me I'm loud enough.
thanks to Keystone Engineering.
Thanks to Keystone Engineering, for
Nice, you
trying
got the
it
pro
over 20
colors.
years, we have a nice new beautiful zoning map. I have copies for all of the board and for everyone in the audience. It's on the website, the color version. We haven't had a color version like this since 1964. And it's very helpful, it's crazy.
I had crayons, I could have filled one in for you. That's right, I stay in the lines.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't need them.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you. Thank you, Frank.
Close.
You have to pay for it.
Chris in my office does
I
a
think-
wonderful job. She's an ace.
We're going to go into, go ahead.
The zoning hearing board solicitor has sent a letter saying that the Whitehall Township zoning and code enforcement officer has requested that we change our definitions of single-family attached dwellings and single-family semi-detached dwellings under section 27194 of the zoning ordinances of the township. I would suggest that we forward the letter to L&L.
Aren't you just here?
I don't think it was Melissa that requested the change. I think it was as a result of what came before the zoning hearing board with respect to a development plan that is proposed up in the northern end, where the zoning hearing board felt that the definitions of those terms were confusing. And so Attorney Freeze has recommended that it be reviewed by the township.
Yeah. His letter says the Whitehall Township zoning and code enforcement officer.
Now, they brought it up before the zoning hearing board, and the definitions, you know, if you know what you're doing, yeah, they're not confusing, but that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Well, do you think it should go to L&L?
Well, it's up to the board, but I think it has merit because the zoning hearing board felt they granted the variance because they felt it was confusing enough.
Okay, we're going to go into an executive session now.
Wait, is that 145? I'll take a motion.
Oh,
Wait,
go ahead into an executive.
Before you adjourn.
them?
No
Yeah,
action.
you can come in and.
Okay.
I'll second.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah,
I
nice.
understand the laws.
But yeah, they're available. I neglected to.
Okay, no problem, thanks.
The DEC and our side. That's what we're gonna do. So we can get it straightened out. We need to have all three there at the same time. It shouldn't be he said, she said, you know? Definitely. Yes, we did. There were many places to sign.
Just wanted to make sure that we were covered, because I thought we lost our
Luckily, you have
Okay, just so we're covered, because I was just going, I wouldn't do like, so I'm.
Yeah, I handed mine in already.
Every other. Yeah, we've been warning people to keep their packages inside. They shouldn't be out running through anyway, because all they need is salt.
Good. To give you a little assurance.
Well, if you think that's where it is.
That's what I could do.
Well, actually,
I'll do that.
there's an exotic animal